So we're here with Helen in front of the Occupy, I don't know if we could show it here, there we go, Occupy 5900 Michigan Avenue in Detroit, and I'm here with Helen and also Ken, and I think I'm going to get Helen to tell us a little bit about Detroit. And as I said, this is sort of bittersweet for me because this is full circle. This is where I started originally, so it's kind of cool that we're here in Detroit after all this time. So tell me a little bit about Detroit and what's happening here at your Occupy.
Well, one thing that should be really stated up front is that this building is more than just for Occupy. Even though most of the people who are here, who are running it, we're all part of the encampment at Grand Circus and have all been a part of Occupy. The 5900 Activist Center is itself its own entity. And though they're supported and work in tandem by one another, it's actually for all the groups in the area, for any group that wants to be here. And we have multiple meetings from multiple places. The Wobbly Kitchen comes, their chapter here comes and meets here. We have some other just local groups too that come. So back when we were asked pleasantly, and it really was actually kind of pleasantly, to leave Grand Circus Park, a gentleman named Mark came up to us and said, look, I have a building and I don't know what I'm doing with it. If you guys want to come and renovate the downstairs, there's a huge workspace downstairs, and then there's apartments for rent upstairs for anybody that needs a place.
Wow.
So a bunch of us all decided, okay, great, this is wonderful. We can have a place to store all our things from camp. We can get people housed for the wintertime, and we can keep, have a place to have meetings and keep working. And for the better part, it stayed relatively true to that, although we've opened up a little bit. Some people, there's less people living upstairs than there were originally, but there's more people coming and volunteering downstairs. So it's kind of a mixed bag of things. It's not entirely just Occupy.
Okay. But great for having a landlord who's willing to put it to good use, right?
Right. And that's the other nice thing, is this lot is privately owned by the gentleman who owns this building over here, the grocery store.
Yeah.
And we are allowed to garden. We are allowed to have a fire pit over there. We're allowed to...
Oh, nice.
Yeah. In fact, we're supposed to be having fires like every other week, but somehow that changed to every week now, so we're probably going to have a fire later, I guess.
Tonight? It's Wednesday night. Okay,
yeah,
all right. We're going to have bigging s'mores.
Yeah, I'm technically in charge of it, though when people tell me, oh yeah, we're having a fire, I'm like, oh okay, cool, we're having a fire. But anyway, no one's technically in charge of anything, so that's why that happens that way, but that's the way we like it, so there you go.
How many would you say are participating in Detroit in the Occupy?
I would say on the larger scale, still a couple of hundred, like there always has been. I think it's shifted some, and some people are more active in other areas than other areas. I, for one, really just work down here to help with the building, help with the garden, to help with the community that want to enjoy the building and the garden. That's what, my main thing has been, part of community building and part of supporting this, so that the other groups can come in and have their meetings and do more political actions and plan more actions from here.
Now, did you guys get a lot of support financially? Did you get a lot of people who were willing to donate if they couldn't be here?
We did.
Sweet.
We got huge donations, especially in the park, to the point where we had no place to store them anymore, which is why we really needed a building, and on top of the fact that we were being asked to leave the park.
Did you guys set yourself up as a nonprofit, or how did you handle your cash? I'm always curious because
we have the AFCIO holding it for us right now, and
what's AF?
It's a union.
Oh, okay.
They are holding it for us, and so all the Occupy money is in an account. Now the actual money for 5900 itself, which is significantly less, mostly because we've had to spend it to work on doing everything out here, is held by just one of our members, who she's been trying to find a place to put it right now. But she's just a trusted member that we know is not going to run off with our money. So
very good.
And it's really not very much. So for her to run off would be a oh boo-hoo. It wouldn't be a sob story. So
have you done outreach to the community or to local businesses to see if they would help, and do you get stuff donated? I'm curious.
Yes, we have, and we do, and we're trying to do more. One of the things that we've been trying to get on a schedule of doing are like regular, we have these potluck bonfires, which are technically every other week, but sometimes every week, whatever. Fine by me, as long as I'm here to put it out at the end of the night. That draws a lot of people in the community to come and just hang out and talk to us and find out more about who we are, you know, free food, free conversation, you know. And that gets people involved. We also have been trying to get a larger like event schedule going on for every month or every 2 months that we have. The last one we did was April 14th. We had an ox roast. We had 400 people or so come out. Everybody was asked to donate $10 if they could, and if not, then whatever. We got a lot of donations, both food and money and all sorts of things that way. And we certainly are on very close terms with the business right here with the grocery store.
Which is really
Prince
nice.
Valley, yeah. They are great. Prince Valley!
Yay! We're going to shout out to Prince Valley because I saw the two guys out there and they were actually looking at the RVs.
And they've been really supportive. And a few other too, and some of the, like I said, some of the unions and some of the other larger you know, groups that are on the same par with us value-wise, like Wobbly Kitchen and IWW and groups like that.
So what are the big concerns about Detroit that you know of? I mean, if things could change, what would be the most pressing right now here?
In my personal opinion, I think the two major things would be housing and healthcare. There is a huge problem here with foreclosures in Michigan and all of Michigan, and Detroit is absolutely no stranger to that. We've been working, Occupy specifically, and I say we, but really it's been more of the legal team and other volunteers who are able to make it out every day over the winter to go and actually fight the foreclosures of certain people's homes and literally even stand on their lawns to, you know, make it impossible for a foreclosure to happen. And we've saved a good number of families' houses that way.
Nice.
There's still so much more to do, so.
Yeah.
But starting there, one thing that we would like to do is this building has still some free space in it. It does need to be paid for, but the utilities are free, and we'd like to get in there and do some work on the building and make it a little bit nicer for everybody, for anybody who wants to come in. Still same price, you know, nothing different, just, you know.
Same price, so does he
It's
rent
$500 a month for 2-bedroom.
for a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs you're talking about? Oh, okay.
Utilities included.
Okay. That's
So,
actually pretty.
so it's not bad.
No.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. And that's exactly like fixing up affordable housing is, you know, what I think something we need to do is, there's a lot of houses that have been turned into squats also, but, you know, they're pretty nice in the way of squats in that they have little fireplaces and stoves and like some pretty nice things, humanure toilets, stuff like that. So I think there's a lot we could do with that. And then the other thing I would like to see, and this is just all what people can do, you know, not talking about large organizations or, you know, just individuals.
If somebody wants to know how they can help, we're doing a shout out. So if you're listening,
right, yeah, you know,
giddy up.
Our guys who have, you know, built our squats would be more than happy to tell you every single thing they've done. And then I personally want to see more available health care. I myself am a healthcare practitioner, and I would like to start a free clinic. Particularly,
Nice.
I do women's health, so I'd like to be able to do nutrition for young women, especially young pregnant women. Like to be able to see if we get a food bank going specifically for young pregnant women, because WIC and food stamps often really aren't enough, or women end up getting swindled out of these things one way or the other. You know, I want to know, I put an apple in your hand, it's going to go into your mouth. You know, things like that. Another nurse that works with us too has talked about doing just a general free clinic for anybody who needs to come down.
That would be great. I mean, those are the kinds of things I think make such a huge difference in a community.
Right, and those are the kinds of things that people can do. I know a lot of people, especially when we were in the park, were worried about losing their licenses, and pretty much those of us who had licenses, we just said, well, you know what, I mean, is it worth my license, or is it worth helping somebody?
Morally, the right thing to do.
Right.
Exactly.
The majority of people with health concerns that we saw were actually middle-aged men with things like diabetes. So that's what switched up what we were doing a lot. But my hope was to be doing a free women's clinic and just being mostly educational and other ways trying to get support for people.
We is there anything else that you'd like the people to know? I mean, what kind of things are you working on in the building right now? Like what have you done as far as renovating, and what do you still need?
Well, when we first walked into this building, there really wasn't anything there except for a bunch of weird stuff. There were like old mattresses for reasons no one completely understands. There were some chairs, there were some books. There was like, I think it was going to be a thrift store at one point. I think it went from being like coffee house, bar, to possible thrift store, to having been raided. After the raid, it just seemed pointless to do anything with it. The ceiling was leaking very badly. There were terrible warps in the floor. There were rats. There were, I mean, you name it. There was no electricity hooked up. The furnace wasn't working. There were no bathrooms. There was nothing. It was just...
Wow.
It was a crazy mess. And I remember the first day we walked in there, my friend and I just looked around and were like, oh, okay.
The challenge.
This is why this space is donated to us.
Yeah.
But no, it's amazing. The turnaround in just 4 or 5 months. Amazing.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'm going to take a tour of it after, and
Yes.
if that's
Right.
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, take some
Absolutely.
pictures. But, if we could do more of this, like if in cities we could get landlords who maybe aren't in a position, I don't know, that have a building, and we could work together. So, because there's a lot of people who are very handy.
Mm-hmm.
And if in every city we could get a headquarter for Occupy, so that we could do business and do printing and do the things that we need to do. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So let the landlords that have the buildings that want help fixing them up, and you have to protect yourself though, because you don't want to fix it up and then have them oust you. But there's ways to get around that. But I think this is great.
And there's been snafus along the way, and our original agreement was, I believe, a free year, 1 year free for all the fix up, and then we would have to probably start paying for the space.
Okay.
So we do need to do some fundraising and figure out what we're going to do to pay for the space.
Yeah.
And certainly come winter time.
Has he set an amount?
It's so varied because a lot of it depends on the utilities too. So I don't honestly know. I've heard numbers all over the board. The highest I ever heard was, I think, $2,400 a month, and that would include all the utilities.
And that be for the whole lower floor,
That
or
would
do
be
you
for
have...
the whole space we already have, yes, and including what we do with our lot, which really that's just free from these guys. That's actually a different situation. But that was sort of the original agreement. How that may develop and change, I don't know yet. We met a little bit on it earlier in the week. Didn't get too far into it. So.
Now, as far as the garden, do you have people are you treating it like a community garden? Can people come and just help if they want to and plant and wow.
then harvest, when it comes time.
Great.
That's
I think
cool,
that's
yeah.
good. And have you had a lot of support from the community, or do they know about it yet?
The people that we're still getting to be known, because it's still really little. You can just barely even see some of the plants are even up yet.
Yeah.
But we're getting a lot more support every day. We get more and more people to come down and help out from other community gardens or from the building here, other places. The children, there's a few families with children in the building that love to come down and help us out. Right now we have two Occupy children out there playing, but they often have the kids from the building come down and play with them too.
Sweet.
And they run around. That's Caroline Addis out there, who is one of the people who's been with Occupy from the start too, and that's her son and one of our other guys' sons.
Maybe
and
we'll go over and get some pictures of your garden
she's
too.
been very, very hours and hours and time and money into this garden.
So that's going to save you a lot of money when you start harvesting some food out of there.
Ideally, because we have potlucks every week. And we haven't had quite as much food donation as we once did in the park. I mean, we still managed to always make enough for everybody. It's never been a problem. But
do you get the word out? Can people drop food off? Is there a way to get word out to get people to bring food by?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I would actually probably need to ask whoever's running the website right now. It would probably be Carrie or Justin, who was inside, who you guys met when we were first here.
What's your website, just so everybody knows?
Let me get the card. I have the card.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys might know it.
So if we put this up, and anybody in Detroit listening, if you can help out, if you can bring food, if you want to come out and help with the garden, Helen would love it, and so would the rest of the occupiers.
Come to our potlucks and bring food for the potlucks. There we are.
Okay,
That's
so $5,900 Activist Center. There you go. There's the information. It's
down here.
5900activistcenter.com. So check it out. We're going to go in and do a little tour of the garden and the building now. Thank you, Helen.
Great, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Just